Shabbat Shalom. There is a dear friend of mine, not a member of this congregation, who is in the terminal stages of cancer. It's a very difficult situation. She has school-aged children. And faced with her mortality, she has been sharing with her friends and loved ones some of her lessons about life. And it resonated with me, and I wanted to share with you. And she made a few jokes about Tupperware's tops and bottoms not fitting each other. But she said in her mind, the most important lesson she had learned was that we should accept the love that comes in our lives the way it comes. Instead of always wishing it was something else or coming to us in a different way. And that we all have these expectations of how we want to be loved. And when we are not loved in that way, we reject that love. We become unhappy and angry. This is not how it should be. And it causes us all kinds of upheavals and challenges. She said, if you just let go of those expectations, then you will see and feel how much love comes your way every day. And I found it to be a very profound realization. It's something that I also see in our Parsha this week, in a love story in a triangle between Rachel, Leah, and Jacob. Right? Jacob arrives in Haran, and he immediately falls in love with the beautiful Rachel, and he works 7 years for her hand. But on the wedding night, as we know, she switched, and he marries Leah instead. And now Jacob is married to Leah, and he works for another 7 years for Rachel's hand, and in all he spends 20 years with his uncle. And we hear of all those strong feelings and jealousies and anger and challenges for all three of them during those years, because none of them are happy with the love that they are getting. Right? Jacob is furious. He worked 7 years for Leah, a wife he does not want. And Leah is not as beautiful as Rachel. She is weak-eyed, as all the Torah says, which doesn't sound like a compliment. And although she provides child after child for Jacob, this is not what he desires. And as you read from the Torah, you can see that Leah is being a wonderful wife to Jacob, but he is not happy for what she offers him. He wants the romance of Rachel, who he had worked 7 hard years for her hand. And in truth, Jacob suffers his whole life because of this. And he doesn't treat his children from Leah the same way he treats his children from Rachel. He favors Joseph and Benjamin over all of his other sons. And we know what happens from there, the story of the coat and of the brothers. We can understand why his other sons are angry, and angry at Joseph, because they feel unloved by their father. And that's what that whole story is about. And when it comes to his life, Jacob says at the end of it that he's been unhappy almost all the days of his life. His love for Rachel, and by extension for Joseph, for Benjamin, clouded some of the other blessings in his life. He did not see what Leah brought. And then there's Rachel. Rachel is loved by Jacob with all of his being. But that is not what she wants. She wants children and sons and descendants, because in that society, that was the validation and the way a woman showed her status, by producing children. And so she's unhappy with the love she is getting. And there's one scene in our parasha where she exchanges her nighttime privileges with their husband in return for some herbs which may help her have children. And really the whole parsha is a story of the three of them all struggling with not getting what the love that they wanted. Right? All Leah wanted was the love of her husband. And so she feels unloved and unwanted, and she does her best, but it's never enough. And she tries to have children and is very blessed in God by that. And she's trying to be what a good wife was supposed to be loving, providing descendants, one after the other, who end up being the fathers of the 10 of the 12 tribes. She's the one who creates the future of the Jewish people, but he doesn't appreciate it. And the Torah exposes all of these feelings in their rawest form. Because we all want a certain kind of life. We have our dreams, we have our vision, and often we get given a different kind of life, a different kind of love. And instead of seeing that this is what God has handed us, we struggle and we fight it. Leah is the one who gives Jacob children, but really she wants his love. And for Rachel, it's the opposite. She has his love, but she wants the children. It's like the story that we read on Rosh Hashanah in the book of Samuel, of Elchanan and Hannah from the book of Samuel. And she's beloved by her husband, but cannot have children. And year after year, she cries to God for children. Over and over, her husband tells her, "Aren't I better than 20 children?" In the story of my friend with the terminal cancer, I believe that her own realization stems from one of the relationships in her life. And she had married someone who was a very good person, but did not give her the love that she had dreamed of and hoped for. And it caused her a lot of doubt and difficulty, and in the end she had divorced her spouse. But since her illness, her former spouse had been there for her, watching over the kids, taking care of her needs day after day after day for the last few years. And he ended up giving her a priceless love. We have our certain expectations of what love is about. In the end, the love that we were really searching for, the love that we really needed, was often before us, if only we could accept it. If only we could set aside our own ideas and preconceptions and mishigas. If we can but see it, there may be an even greater love there for us than we had ever dreamed of. It can fulfill us more than we could ever imagine. Holy One, may we learn to see the love that is before us and all the priceless gifts that come our way every single day. Give us strength and wisdom to see, to be clear-eyed. And may we find a deep peace of contentment. Shabbat Shalom.